Hey there, this is Bruce Collins. Welcome to the Wrestling Hotline. What we're going to do on this YouTube channel is we are going to talk about the world of professional wrestling and paying homage to the old wrestling hotlines. Remember back in the 1990s, I actually called Jim Ross's wrestling hotline at the time. We're going to talk about the WWE, AEW, New Japan, and many of the indie wrestling scene. So I hope you can join us at this channel. A little bit about myself. My name is Bruce Collins, and I was a wrestling promoter briefly in Northern California. My grandfather was a pro wrestling fan. And as a kid, I used to go over there on Saturday mornings and watch the roller derby and also professional wrestling. And I watched WWE, NWA, all sorts of different kinds of wrestling at the time, world-class championship wrestling. And so I actually ended up promoting professional wrestling in the late 90s. I booked the San Jose Civic Auditorium, which is what New Japan now books to run their shows. And I was actually featured in this article, SF Weekly, in an article called SmackDown. If you think pro wrestling is outrageous, you should see the battles that go on among the sport's local promoters. And it was mostly about two major promoters in the Bay Area, but I was featured in the article if you scroll all the way down towards the bottom, of course. And here it is. Bruce Collins, the Bay Area's other promoter, was blind to all this squabbling when he started his company last year, but it didn't take him long to get embroiled in it, I'll say. Anyways, it paints me in a pretty good light, I think. And really what I want to accomplish from this channel is I want to interview some people. I want to talk about professional wrestling and the latest news. And also, I wrote a book about professional wrestling. Now, I don't recommend this book. It's very dated. And, I think it had some valuable information at the time, but I haven't promoted wrestling since the 1990s. So I don't know anything about the scene. Again, I don't promote the book. It's called So You Want to Be a Wrestling Promoter. I wrote it with the late Rick Drayson. Rick Drayson actually had a YouTube channel. He was the training partner for Arnold Schwarzenegger many years ago, and he was in television. He was the Middle Hulk of the Incredible Hulk TV show. When Bill Bixby turns into Lou Ferrigno, he's the Middle Hulk. But he was also a professional wrestler, and I got to know him, and we wrote this book, So You Want to Be a Wrestling Promoter. It is available on Amazon. I don't necessarily recommend it, but if you want to buy it, that's fine. And so, Wrestling Hotline, once I wrote the book was writing about what to do and not to do when you're a promoter and owner of a wrestling company, which I was. And I made a lot of mistakes because I did it on my own. And so I wrote this book to kind of let people know if they want to try this, here's a few things I did that failed. Here's some things that worked. And also the types of things you need, like liability insurance and all of that. So I think it was overall a pretty good book. Then from there, I started someone I knew in professional wrestling, a wrestling manager by the name of Big Schwag, started getting connected in Hollywood. His name is Brett Wagner, and he became the voice of Monster Garage on the Discovery Channel. And he invited me to become a guest on his show, Monster Radio, which was based on Monster Garage. And so I did that, and I liked it so much, I started doing a podcast and a radio show. And I was on AM radio for about 12 years in markets like Boston, Nashua, New Hampshire, and the Tampa Bay, Florida area. And we interviewed a lot of different things. It wasn't just a pro wrestling show. We interviewed actors and politicians and conspiracy buffs and people who investigate Bigfoot, but a lot of wrestlers too. I interviewed TNA's Gail Kim, Drew Galloway before he was, or in between times when he wasn't Drew McIntyre in the WWE, Samoa Joe right as he got signed to NXT. And I interviewed, of course, Brett Wagner. He was tied to Ultimate Pro Wrestling. He was the one that helped mold that school. And he was connected to John Cena and people of that caliber. And so I also interviewed wrestling legends like Ivan Koloff and Jake the Snake Roberts, who I was a big fan of when I was a kid. And we interviewed several others, countless wrestling stars, but other people too. Anyway, it's come full circle now, and I've decided to join YouTube and start this channel called Wrestling Hotline. So we can get to the news of wrestling, opinions, we'll have guests on, we will have debates, and we will talk about wrestling, individual events, wrestlers, financials. We'll try to cover everything. And if we're not covering something that you want us to cover, please write in the comments and let us know, and we'll be happy to do that. Again, I want to welcome you to Wrestling Hotline, and thank you for calling the Wrestling Hotline. Take care.